In Lesson 2, we will be evaluating your difference quotient. This is a concept used in calculus to look for your average rate of change, but in precalc, we will be learning how to evaluate this difference quotient. It does follow with our function notation, because what we're doing is just a series of function notations in a very large fractional equation in which our goal is to eliminate the h. So what we want to do first is we're going to start with your basic function notation, just this part. This is where the x is. So when you find x in your function, you are going to replace it with x plus h. So we're going to take the x out of here and replace the x plus h. And it still has to be squared. Continuing on, we have a minus, and then we want to just copy down our function, f of x. This is equal to x squared, so we just write the x squared. And we keep the denominator, h. We're going to FOIL the first part, x squared plus 2xh plus h squared. Continue with your minus x squared over h. We're going to combine our like terms, which makes us able to eliminate your x squareds, and we're left with 2xh plus h squared over h. We can then factor out an h in the numerator. We're left with 2x plus h over h. Cancel out your h, and your answer is 2x plus h. In the next example, I'm keeping the same function, but I'm changing these just a little bit, but the process is going to stay the same. So for the first part of your difference quotient, whenever you see the x in this function, we are going to replace it now with 2 plus h, just like you did in your function notation. So we're going to say 2 plus h, we're going to keep this squared, and now we're going to replace the x with a 2, minus 2 squared, all over h. So again, we have to do the 2 plus h squared, which gives us 4 plus 4h plus h squared, and we've got this next term, minus 4, all over h. Combine your like terms, 4h plus h squared, factor out an h, and now you can cancel out your h, leaving you with 4 plus h. At this point right here, if you cancel out your terms that are the opposites, and you're left with something that does not contain an h, and you're not going to be able to factor out an h, go back and look over your equation. Usually you missed a minus sign, or maybe you didn't FOIL properly, so go back and take a look at it. In this last example, just like we did in our other function notations, we have x in more than one spot. We're going to find the same way. We're going to start with the first part, and we're going to find the x, and take the x out, and put in 2 plus h. So in our function, we're going to start with 3 times 2 plus h minus 2 plus h squared plus 5. That's your first part. Now we're going to go to the second part, and we're going to replace your x with a 2, minus 3 times 2 minus 2 squared plus 5, all over h. Now, when you look at this minus sign and you separate your terms and you come over here, remember, you're not subtracting the first term, you're subtracting this whole thing. So the important part are these parentheses. You've got to do what's in the parentheses first, and remember to subtract the whole thing. The same thing's going to happen with this one. Once we square this binomial, we then have to subtract the entire binomial. So let's start. We're going to distribute. And we're going to FOIL your 2 plus h. When we FOIL 2 plus h, we get 4 plus 4h plus h squared. Now this has to stay in parentheses. We've got our plus 5. In this little parentheses, you can work this out. This is 6 minus 4 plus 5. 6 minus 4 will give you 2, plus 5 will give you 7. So now we've got minus 7, all over h. So we're going to take this and we're going to distribute our negative sign. 6 plus 3h minus 4, all over the 3 terms, minus 4h minus h squared, coming out plus 5 minus 7, all over h. Combining our like terms, we have 6 minus 4 is 10. Is 2, plus 5 is 7, minus 7 is 0. These are gone. If they didn't, we did something wrong. We have a 3h plus minus a 4h. This will give us negative h, and we have the minus h squared. We can now factor out an h and be left with negative 1 minus h all over h. Now you can take out the common factor, and you're left with negative 1 minus h.